Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, has died.
What's love got to do? Got to do with it. What's love but a second-hand emotion?
Her family said that she died peacefully at her home in Switzerland after a long illness. Turner is best known for hits such as What's Love Got to Do with It, Simply the Best, and Private Dancer. She was 83 years old. And for more on this, we are joined by music journalist Eric Alper. Eric, thank you for your time. Just such a shocking announcement in the middle of the afternoon today. What was your initial response when you heard the news?
Yeah, absolute shock. I knew that, of course, she had a self-imposed exile for the last 10 or 12 years or so living in Switzerland with her husband. But I don't think anybody realized how long that illness has been going on for. Certainly, when you take a look at the life and the story and the times of Tina Turner, you don't have a Janet Jackson, you don't have a Beyonce, you don't have a Mary J. Blige, you don't have Mick Jagger strutting like he does across football fields and stages around the world without. And it's just a devastating loss, not only for the music industry and the community, but so much of the arts world and so much of the civil rights world who, when she was growing up, didn't really have a voice, and didn't have a voice when she was married to her then husband, Ike Turner, who, savagely beat her. And, it took us years, if not decades, to realize the extent of that. So wonderful to see the fact that she had another batch of successes starting in the 1980s with the help of MTV and Much Music and her videos like What's Love Got to Do with It and Private Dancer. Working to the Mad Max films that she appeared in and sung in, just a absolute beacon of light and a champion, not only for Black women, but also for older women in anything that they want to do. That, Tina Turner broke through again in her 40s, and you can do it too.
Absolutely. And, you don't see too many people, too many artists whose career, whose spanned it's 7 decades, but as you noted earlier too, whose legacy is so rich the way that Tina Turner's is. As you noted, so many big names wouldn't be where they are or who they are if it wasn't for her sort of paving the way.
That's exactly it, especially when she was kind of getting into the music industry in the 1950s and 60s. I mean, this was a time when, not a lot of radio stations in America were playing Black artists. There wasn't any R&B or blues music or soul music on most of the white stations. And the fact that Ike and Tina Turner had to go through their own route to have that kind of success not only is inspiring in itself, but having that longevity and keep coming back with tour after tour and making those shows intimate while still being able to play in front of 60, 70,000 people around the world is pretty wild when you kind of think about it.
Yeah, you take a look at just some of the footage of seeing her in the flesh, in concert, and such an entertainer was Tina. When you take a look at where she came from, her humble beginnings, as you noted, her notorious relationship with her former husband, Ike, but also, too, just her overall success and how she stayed relevant for, like you said, later into her years, where, as you noted, that's not really always the case in Hollywood.
Or it's hardly ever the case, even though that Hollywood and Los Angeles and New York really want to create that kind of rags to riches story. But it really all kind of came together for her. She really was broke. She really was poor growing up where she did. There was no chance of success where she was coming from. But with just sheer determination, will, meeting the right people, and Ike had to do a lot of that, for all of his absolutely unapologetic nastiness that he did towards her. The very fact that she was able to break through in an era where, look, even in the 70s and 80s, women just did not speak out about these kind of things until artists like Tina Turner came along and said, no, I've got a story to tell. And certainly that movie that starred Angela Bassett as Tina Turner with it had a lot to do with that. And it wasn't revisiting history or rewriting it. It was telling a story that was still really accurate to that day.
you know, in addition to her stage presence, her as an entertainer, but she was also this fashion icon when she really broke out in the 70s and 80s. That spiked hair, the mini skirt, the jean jacket, you know, how it was just so profoundly Tina.
And especially because that song, What Love Got to Do with It, went around the music industry and nobody wanted it until it got down to Tina Turner. She wasn't the top 3 or 4 artists to get that song when the songwriters started sending it around. There was a number of artists that they went to first, because Tina Turner just didn't have a career. I mean, she wasn't really all that big, but certainly, look, I was 14, 15 years old when that album came out, and I walked around thinking like I had found a brand new artist to love. Not even knowing about all of her decades that preceded What's Love Got to Do with It. And I think a lot of people felt that same way too. It's like, who is this woman and how is she almost my mom's age? And should she be wearing that? And yeah, absolutely she should be wearing that. And she looked amazing. And, you know, throughout all of her history, dressing up and being a star and being a woman was paramount to her, and she pulled it off with so much style and grace. It's you know, it's wild.
Yeah, style and grace indeed. Just sad news this afternoon, though. Tina Turner passing at the age of 83. Music journalist Eric Alper, thank you for your time and for stopping by and just chatting about her legacy this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. We'll talk soon.
Okay.